All right, you may have seen on Twitter that the hashtag Lady Doritos was trending, and if you're like me, you were wondering, why? And here's why. Basically, the CEO of PepsiCo, which owns Doritos, everything is owned by corporations, our corporate overlords, went on a podcast and said the following: when you eat out of a flex bag, one of our single serve bags, especially as you watch a lot of young guys eat the chips, they love their Doritos and they lick their fingers with great glee. But when they reach the bottom of the bag, they pour the little broken pieces in their mouth because they don't want to lose that taste of the flavor, the broken chips in the bottom. Now, for women, they say that it's too messy. They don't like to crunch too loudly in public, and they don't lick their fingers generously, and they don't like to pour the little broken pieces and flavor into their mouth. This was on the podcast Freakonomics, and a lot of people were wondering what she was inferring to, and then the podcast leader, the podcast host,
the moderator, the
leader of the podcast said, are you saying that there's gonna be like a chip for women? You know, how would that work? She says, well, for women, we're looking at like low crunch, the full taste profile, not have so much of the flavor stick to their fingers, and how you can put it in a purse because women love to carry a snack in their purse. So then people just went up and stormed. They were saying, oh, hashtag Lady Doritos. There were a lot of people posting on Twitter saying, women, we want equal pay for equal work and an end to sex discrimination in the workplace. Society, here's a bag of Lady Doritos so you won't have to crunch too loudly in front of your male colleagues. It's funny, it's very memeable, but Doritos wanted to rectify the situation, get ahead of this. They went on Twitter and they said, we already have Doritos for women. They're called Doritos and they're loved by millions. And now PepsiCo spoke to ABC, a spokesperson did, and they said the following: the reporting on a specific Doritos product for female consumers is inaccurate. So while this was trending, and I mean, her statements in the podcast are sort of bizarre and quizzical, it doesn't actually appear that they will be rolling out a Lady Doritos line.
Oh, good, because for one, I know plenty of female and plenty of women who loves to grab the bag and dump the Doritos chips into their mouth. That's what you do when you eat Doritos. And let's just exist in a world that these actually did exist in, okay? So Doritos puts out many limited edition flavor.
Right.
So they have period time of the month Doritos that are now laced with extra estrogen or progesterone. Like, it sounds so ridiculous. And we're in 2018 about equality and female empowerment and how wonderful women are. If this was real, why would the narratives be, oh, they could put them into their purse, or they come in a nice compact? It was so bad. I'm glad this was debunked because I read this and thought they cannot be serious with this. They cannot.
Yeah, it is very bizarre because I just don't know what sort of women they used in this survey sample of like how they perceive women to consume chips. Now I know I'm a poor example because I'm a slob, but I'm just saying that like I don't know a single girl that is, well, I would be eating these Doritos, but unfortunately a lady like must not get the dust on her fingers, for then she won't find a proper suitor, and then she'll forever die alone, a spinster. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
The whole like putting it in your purse sort of thing.
It really, if you want to get serious with it, Grace, first of all, the CEO of Indra Nooyi, who is a brilliant woman, I can't imagine her greenlighting this. No, this doesn't make any sense. And secondly, they're basically saying that women are all the same, that every woman carries a purse, that every woman is this dainty being a perfection that would never lick her fingers, would never do what a male would do while eating Doritos. So you're putting out this message of that's kind of antiquated when it comes to women.
Oh, it's super antiquated. But what I think is interesting is it kind of seems like the CEO went on this podcast, and I haven't heard the Freakonomics podcast, but I am familiar with the book, and I'm sure that they have to be correlated in some way, shape, or form. And I sort of wonder if maybe she hasn't done that many podcasts before, and then just sort of went rogue and went down this rabbit hole, as it's so easy to do. We've done it ourselves on this show, where you like talk yourselves in circles and you're like, well, now we're talking about a chip with low crunch. Think about that. Is that like a soggy chip?
Right.
She didn't know what she was talking about. She wasn't even convinced really fully of this. So then Doritos had to come out and be like, oh God
Yeah, right. Like,
all right, listen,
reel her
no,
in.
we're not doing this. I'm sorry, but by that time, I mean, just to show you sort of the knee-jerk reaction of the internet, Twitter had already gone on a storm, just saying, hashtag Lady Doritos, which they should have, because it really wasn't clear what she was trying to articulate in the podcast.
Some of these tweets are hilarious. At Kate Ford 76 says, in response to Doritos Lady Friendly Crisp, I shall be eating the biggest crisp I can find, crunching really loudly, burping, and carrying a packet of crisp, I can't even talk, in a handbag. Speak for yourself, says Libya Liberty. Speak for yourself. I have long been waiting for a lady chip, and now we'll launch a campaign to pressure the Doritos company to add a kind of hijab-like layer to each modest serving. Hashtag shariatos.
Well, also so it's interesting. She was talking a little bit about the packaging and like how the packaging looks, and I don't know. I'm not sure that chips are that serious. I could be wrong, and that's what it must be really fascinating and really soul sucking to just sit in a boardroom, and if they have ever had a conversation about but what do the women think of the packaging of the chip?
Right.
It's just chips. If you like it, and if you don't buy it again, no matter what the packaging tries to think.
I think that companies should, as Indra or as Doritos Pepsi company, clap back and said, listen, we have a bag for women. They're called Doritos. Millions of women enjoy them. I think that's the right stance you'd want to take on this. If, like I said, we're all talking if this really came to fruition, but because when you try to put on food, gender specificity, because women will like this more, men like this more. It creates an element of other that's not needed. Like they say, men love Bud Light. I know plenty of female that loves Bud Light. It doesn't have to be just because I have a penis doesn't mean I'm gonna like something more as far as condiments and food than a woman would.
Yeah, I mean, I think this would be different if she was citing academic peer-reviewed research that had something to do with how gender affects taste profiles, and that just didn't happen here. So because of that, when I read the initial quote, I was surprised that it got picked up as much because it just seems so wackadoodle. You can't really take this seriously. I mean, just the quote, women would love to do the same, but they don't. Girl, I think maybe you're talking about yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sort of like my friend has told me that she too would love to crunch the Doritos and have the delicious powder all over her fingers, but my friend insists that she cannot because my friend is a high-powered executive at a multi-conglomerate company, and that's deemed unprofessional. I'm like, all right, girl, I think Indra, get those chips, girl, eat your chips.
She's down way too many Pepsi Max. But what Doritos needs to do is this: you need to go to Taco Bell and figure out why your Doritos Locos Tacos don't really taste like Doritos at all. And I was really pissed because I love me some Doritos Locos Tacos. I thought, ooh, it's Cool Ranch, it's gonna be blah, 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 blah. Nope.
Yes, Jason asking the important questions. Hard-hitting story here today at Pop Trigger. This was a tough one to get through, but we did. We got through it, guys. We want to hear from you now. What are your thoughts on this story? Had you seen it trending? Do you think it was sort of as wild as we thought it was? Do you enjoy crunching Doritos? Please explain in great detail why, and we'll see you later on Pop Trigger.